Hi everyone, my name is Leif, and today I want to talk to you about how to build a growth design team. Now, it was about a good 6-7 years ago, and it was the first time for me to get into a management position and actually start to grow a team. I was struggling to even know what to do, and in that position, it was the first time getting into this role of being a manager to be able to grow a design team and start growing the team. And there were some senior people I was working with, and I had to go about now thinking about how to build a team. And I'm going to talk to you about these 3 things I learned from doing it wrong. And then in the most recent companies I've been working with, how I was able to do it much better. Now, one of the key challenges that I didn't understand is that when building a team, if you don't have the right skill set in the team, you'll always be struggling or have to play catch up, or maybe as a manager be burnt out because you're having to manage or a director. You'll be burnt out basically trying to grow the skills within your team to execute much faster. Second thing is, if your team ain't working fast enough, that can also affect you as well. And I'm going to go through these 3 things as well. And if there's like lack of cohesion and collaboration in the team, then it can cause conflict, it can cause backbiting, it can cause distrust in the team. And today I want to talk to you about not just growing a design team, and this can be potentially applied to any team, but I'm speaking to you about my context from being a design manager and then lead designer and being able to grow teams, and how I'm beginning to think about how to grow teams. So I'm going to walk you through this specifically. Let me switch camera quickly. And the first thing that I like to think about, I don't know if you guys can see it, I hope you can, I'm going to write it as big as possible, is the first thing I begin to think about is literally skills. So there's 3 types of skills that are necessary inside of the team that you're going to build. The first thing that you need to build is what we call the technical skills. Now, these skills are super essential. Think of it as your straight up technical skills inside of your team to execute on that specific role. Do you have a designer? Do you have a researcher? Do you have a UX designer, the product designer? Like these actual technical skills that you need to help the team to be able to move forward. The second thing you've got to think about, and this is what I actually didn't understand, and it's the actual thing that I really want to share with you today. The second thing I didn't understand was that you need what we call growth skills, right? And this is the difference between just a technically driven team versus a growth driven team. A technically driven team just focuses on the raw skills that the team need. The growth driven team focuses on the skill set that specifically is specialized to that business, to that role in the team you're currently building. This is super important. Technical skills are different to growth skills. Technical skills is, I'm working for a B2B fintech company, for example, and then I have a designer in the team who could just execute on the designs. A growth-focused leader who is growing a growth-focused design team is saying, okay, cool. I understand that we have the technical design skills, but let me bring in a researcher who has the background or the skill set or knowledge of my industry. Or let me bring in a designer who also has understanding on product marketing, because when we are launching new features, they need to be able to move quite quickly to be able to execute much faster. So in other words, inside of your team, you don't just want to have people who can execute on the technical, you want to have someone who could focus on the growth focus of the team and what needs to be specialized in the team to be able to go forward. That might be one person in your team, that might be 1, 2, 3 or more, but basically the growth focus skills are just as important as the technical skills. The next one I want to talk about is what we call the soft skills, right? Now, everybody has heard of soft skills. This is super important, but to be honest, if you don't have the soft skills of the people, no matter how technically driven they are, in other words, they can execute on their specialism really well, no matter how growth focused they are, in other words, they have the individual, unique, specific skill set to give you that unique edge to your team. If they're not easy to work with, if they're not got active listening, if they don't have good collaboration skills, etc., that can make it much harder. You might have someone of excellence technically, but if they're not getting along with the team, no one wants to work with them. Think of this as, the glorified arsehole or something like that. Like the person who is in your team who people don't really get along with, but we know he or she is excellent, so we just put up with it. That's not really helpful for growth. You might be able to execute on a couple of things at the beginning, but when it comes onto growth, you want all these 3 skills in place. Now, let me talk to you about what we call the next big bucket that you need inside of a GDT. It's what I call a growth design team. And this is what we call speed. Speed. Now, we know because of the rise of artificial intelligence, the speed at which we're getting products to market right now, someone can start up their product in their bedroom. Right now, my office bedroom I've converted. I'm teaching you this today. Like, you can get things off the ground really, really fast. So speed is a super essential part of a growth design team. Now, a speed-focused team is user-centric, or user-focused, right? Right? This is the key thing. We know we hear this term all the time, user-focused, user-centered, but a speed-focused team understands who we are serving much better than anyone else. They are so in touch with what the customer needs that even when, from a skill set standpoint, we might know how to execute on the individual skill set we are employed for much faster. Because they understand the user, they know what to actually focus on much faster to get things to market, to get feedback so that we can move forward. This leads me on to my next thing. When we're user focused, we can actually focus on the key metrics, right? This is my next point. Key metrics that move the needle for this customer within our business. So because we're speed focused, we now know what key metrics we need to move, KPIs, etc., to be able to move the business forward. And because we are focused on these metrics that need to move the business forward, this allows us to move 10 times faster as well. The next thing I want to talk about is what we call the milestones, right? These are the milestones, These are the different individual key actions and key steps in our project that we need to hit to know how we can move forward. So when we're speed focused within a GDT, a growth design team, we're user centered, we know our key metrics, and we have the key milestones in place so that we can move forward as well. The next thing I want to talk about is the next big bucket here. This is synergy, right? Now, why is synergy so important? The reason why synergy is so important is because, one, we're building across different functions, right? So this word is cross-function. So this is so important, right? We need that synergy because we have to work with marketing. We have to work with product. We have to work with engineering and legal and finance and operations, etc. So because we're working cross-functionally as a design team, we're not just the most important people in the group. We are a part of an ecosystem, and that helps the business move forward. So we need synergy. Comes back to the soft skills. We need to make sure in the beginning that we are employing based upon soft skills so that when we come to work cross-functionally across different teams, we have a design team who is building relationships. Even if you don't have to work with those individual team members, you've got team members in your team who are linking up with legal, who are talking to finance, who are talking to operations, who are talking to revenue. Even if it's just you're in the kitchen or you're just setting up a one-to-one chat, just to check up on different team members. Your team, specifically here on the GDT, your growth design team, they are a relationship building team as well as an top-notch executional team. This is what you're building here. The next thing you're also going to be making sure to build good synergy is that you're making sure you have good feedback loops inside your team, right? So this is feedback from yourself as the leader in the team, whether you're a director, CEO, or even a manager. You've got good feedback in your team to the action designers who are working, so they know what to focus on. They know where they individually can get better as well. The next thing you've got to think about is what I call wins, right? This could be rewards, but basically, how do we, as we move faster, as we have these key milestones and we have these key metrics, what are we doing to make sure that when we have wins in the team, that we are celebrating these wins? And these wins are something that we highlight and we celebrate and we call out individuals in the team who are doing really well. And we make sure that that is a highlight and a focus within our team. The key thing that I'm touching on here is that the growth design team is really specialized in making sure that the skills are strong, the speed is there, the synergy is there, and that you can move forward. In the first company I worked with, I didn't understand this process. So I focused so heavily on just this one area. I was like, oh, I need someone that can do this. I need someone that can do that. that when it came on to actually now making sure I can build a relationship with other team members and I wanted to get things done, it was much slower. And as a result, things that we eventually knew could take us a month to 2 months to execute and bring to market took us 6 to 8 months to bring to market. I remember us working on this one specific feature, which is a badge on a card. It was a simple badge to indicate to the user that this is a new episode. And I remember us having to speak to different teams about it, having to work on it. Different designers had different feedback on it. And it just took so long to get this one specific feature up and out the door. It took us about 6 to 8 months. When we actually sat down, we did our, retrospective and we reviewed it. We realized that something like that should have taken no more than 1 to 2 months at most, only because we were working across different platforms as the reason why it took us so long. So now you've been able to understand the key aspects of the growth design team system. And I want to talk to you about the relationship between each one to even make it more clearer. So when your skills are strong and speed is there in your team, this keeps the team agile to be able to move fast and to be able to adapt to any changes in the team. When the speed is there and there's good synergy in the team, this builds momentum in the team to be able to continue that forward movement and to be able to execute, because you're agile, on different features and functionality and adapt to market changes so that the business can stay ahead of the curve and also be delivering features that we know customers actually want. And then internally, when the synergies are there, or the synergies is there and the skill set is strong, this builds a more collaborative team. And this is so valuable to the team going forward, because it allows internally us to be getting along, to be moving good. Everybody's happy to come to work, even if they're working from home. And this is super valuable. In the last team that I recently worked with, this is something that I began to see really take effect when we started to implement much better systems in place, because we understood the value of having strong skills at the top end. One of the things we did to make sure the skills were strong internally is that we focused on the hiring process. So this is all on the hiring. We worked very closely with the HR team, some call it the people team, all right, to be able to make sure we could find the best people. So it made sure that we were involved in the process. And not only that, in regards to hiring, we brought different team members into the interview process who were a part of the team. So they were potentially meeting the candidates that they could also work with if they thought that we were strong people. So it was like the collaboration was there, and because we trusted and valued the skills within the team, we brought them into the hiring process alongside the managers and the leaders in the team as well. So it wasn't just like the leadership of the team were just finding people and bringing them in. We were bringing other team members into the process. This is just one of 3 key things that we did to be able to increase collaboration. On the speed side, one of the key things we did was, because we understood the value of having the right tools in place for the marketing team, we implemented a new CMS, right? And that new CMS was with Webflow, right? We used a tool called Webflow. Now, what we did is that by implementing Webflow, we 10x the speed of the team, we 6x the speed of delivering pages to market, we shrunk the size of the actual development team, and it allowed designers and marketers to move 10 times faster because of this new CMS. What that brought to the team was a new way of working. So we had to change the way we were working, because the one tool that we implemented allowed us not to need engineers as much, etc. But when I say change the way we work, in other words, it simplified our ability to execute and get things to market, because we had template builders inside here. We had a front-end CMS editor so that people could literally see what they were editing and changing on the front end as well. This was super valuable to the team just by making this one implement change. But there were 3 other things that we did that actually executed from a speed standpoint to be able to move much faster. But that was one of the major things we did. Now, the last thing we did in regards to synergy, this comes down to just doing the basics better. So we had an improvement in our one-to-one meetings. We had a clear weekly design sync meeting, okay, where we kept the team members accountable, right? And then we had regular reviews in the team. We had also regular retrospectives retros. You don't know what that is. Come on, guys. I know you know. So all of these things was just doing the basics better. Holding managers accountable if they miss one-to-ones. Making sure that design syncs don't change. And if they did change, team members were communicated to effectively and efficiently. Making sure that off the back of retros, we had an action plan in place. And from that action plan, we were very clear on how we will make changes, because the retros was every 2.5 to 3 weeks. So these basics, we were holding people accountable to things that we said we would do from an actionable standpoint. This builds a clear process and focus on where we need to make changes, so we can be a more adaptable and agile team that has the momentum in the team to collaborate effectively and build growth, so that we can be a growing team and that we can make our investors happy. We can also increase our income. We can increase our bonuses. We can also do better as a team, deliver products we like, make our customers happy, etc. This is what I call a growth design team. I began to understand this process for myself, develop this to be able to help myself succeed as a leader, to be able to build the design teams I was working with. And I began to see that now I'm executing on bigger screens, more processes to the user journey, much faster, because I'm building relationships with other team members while we are working on user journeys and while we're working on features. We're bringing in team members from other departments much, much faster, which allowed our team to move a lot quicker and get things out the door a lot faster. Now, the key thing I'm beginning to see is that in many, many teams going forward, not being able to think like this can slow them down. And if you want to know more about how I could help you build out a growth design team in your business, just literally hit me up, send me a message, and I'll walk you through how you can actually do this inside of your own company as well. So especially if you're a SaaS company, right, you're building some kind of software, this cycle system will be super valuable for you. And I'd love to help you do that inside of your business today. So my name is Leif. Thank you so much for spending the time to be in part of this simple little training that I want to share. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.